Hi, I'm DM Gallibond. In last week at the table, we look at what happened in the two actual play games I run on my Twitch channel, which you can find at twitch.tv/Gallibond. Now let's get on with the show. On Thursday night, we were playing the Essentials game at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. On their way back to the logging camp, the party saw a boar at night watching their camp. It didn't attack, but the party thought it was a bad sign, so they attacked the boar and eventually killed it. Whereupon the corpse turned into a half-orc, revealing that they had indeed been fighting some kind of shapeshifter. They burned the corpse and left without waiting to see if the half-orc had friends that would come to avenge her. Now Zant told the party that the boar and the half-orc both resembled the forces that had driven him and his kindred from the Circle of Thunder before he had met the party. Now, once they got to the logging camp, they battled some Ankegs, which incidentally you can find on last night's Monster Monday. And at the logging camp, they also found the town master's brother hiding. Surprise, surprise. They also got their first sighting and first encounter with a white dragon that they've been hunting. It was attracted by the noise the party made fighting the Ankegs and came to investigate. Now, Abenadam has been waiting so long to use a fireball spell, and he finally got his chance when the dragon showed up. But it turned out to be a major dud. Out of the 8d6 he rolled for damage, 5 of the dice came up ones for a grand total of only 17 damage. But between his fireball and some of the other ranged spells and attacks by the rest of the party, they drove the dragon off, and both sides lived to meet again. So then at the end of the session, they had to deal with the townmaster's brother, who now insists on returning to Phandalin as quickly as possible. The rest of the party, of course, wants to go with Zant to the Circle of Thunder to help him deal with the orcs and the half-orcs that drove his people out. So the townmaster is threatening to go back to Phandalin by himself, and I think the party are so annoyed with him, they're willing to just let him go ahead and do that. So we'll see what happens. You can tune in next Thursday night, or this coming Thursday night at 8 p.m. to find out what happens next. So on Sundays at 2:30, we play The Walker of Waterdeep, a 5e game where we cross the streams of lore between D&D 5e and Magic the Gathering. The fight with the Gruul of the Burning Tree clan was a huge success from my perspective. The tuning of the fight was just about perfect because 2 of the party members finished the fight on single-digit hit points, very badly bloodied, and 2 of the casters had completely exhausted their spell slots during the fight. So nearly all the PCs were injured, and the enemies they fought dealt a lot of damage to the heroes before they were vanquished. The fight actually took about 3 hours of real time to complete, so it didn't leave us a whole lot of time in the session for story. But after finishing the fight, the party returned to Ravnica and were met on the way by a Boris patrol on their way to find the ambassadors. So the soldiers were very contrite because they discovered only too late that the food that had been brought for the cook to prepare was laced with some kind of sleep poison. It knocked out everyone. The servants, it knocked out the guards, it knocked out the party, of course. And so everybody was incapacitated by this. And the Boros suspect House Demir, because it sounds like something House Demir would do, but it's a little bit puzzling that the Gruul seem to be the ones that were behind the kidnapping. And of course, the leadership of the Boros and the Azoria Senate will firmly deny that House Demir even exists. But all of the soldiers who are out on the front lines, they've all seen enough evidence that House Demir is operating, and they just kind of roll their eyes when the leadership tells them that it doesn't exist. So back at their quarters, when the party got back to their quarters, the staff offered to resign, and the party had to convince the cook and the butler and the chambermaid that the party did not hold them responsible for being drugged and spirited away. There was a lot of inter-party RP that the players had really been wanting to get to, so most of the end of the session was Xandri fretting that Gallibond may be leaving the group because he joined the Gruul. He said that he has no plans to leave. He still wants to keep adventuring, but he just finds the Gruul philosophy the closest to sanity of anything that he has found here in Ravnica. And Oyahusa finally confided in Adamant and Thardrum about the artifact Aurora that he had found and some of the secrets of its creator that he's been learning. And that was a good thing too, because both Adamant and Thardrum could confirm and corroborate some of the secrets that Aurora had told Oyahusa about its creator. And that's because those tidbits track with sources that independently Thardrum and Adamant had each run across years before. So, at this point, Oyahusa's kind of just been going on what Aurora has been telling him with no sort of reference as to how accurate this is. I mean, he knows it's a marvelous thing that this artifact can speak to him, but um, he is played as rather suspicious and very inquisitive by nature. So he's not one to just trust something on face value. But now he has two people that he has known and adventured with and trusted that say, "Oh, yeah, I read something about that too." When he rattled off specific bits of lore that Aurora had told him about the entity that had created it. So, all in all, it was a very good session of character bonding on the battlefield and off, and everyone got a chance to participate in some of the character development arcs that were being formed. Now, I personally am really enjoying this group because they're so invested in growing and learning and discovering the paths of their individual characters and the party as a whole, and the entire story arc that I am laying out before them as they go. It really makes this a fun group to DM, and so it's a real joy on Sundays to come to this game, even though I kind of always worry if I'm going to have enough prepared, or if I've over prepared, or if they're going to take a left turn that goes completely off the rails. But every time they do take it off the rails, it's kind of off the rails in a good way, and so I'm finding it exhilarating and fun all at the same time. Well, that is last week at the table for April 7th. So tune in on Twitch on Thursdays and Sundays to see what happens in our live games, or keep posted here to find out what happened last week at our table. And remember to always try to make your games memorable so you can have tales from your table to share with your friends. Good night, everybody.